Okay, I think we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome back or welcome for the first time. My name is Michelle Adamas, and I'm the owner of Vintage Revival Design Co., and I am in Northern Virginia. And today we are going to do a thrift flip, I guess. So I have a pair of these little mirrored sconces, and they're tired. They need a new look, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do with them. So today we're going to do a paint finish, and we're going to use the new gold foil transfers by Ironworker Designs. I'll also be using Posh Chalk pigments and some of their new crackling gel, as well as some Wise Owl paint. So let's get started, and I'll show you where I am starting from. Okay, so let me pull up my project. Okay, so I've already taken this apart, but here's what I started with. I have a pair of two of these. You can see my camera up there. And it's got this little metal candle holder for a taper, a backing to it, that kind of thing. And so I thought, let's just redo these. I've had them forever. I'm starting to go through all of my stash and just really, I walk by it every day and then something will pop out at me. So it's really great. Hello, Shannon. Thank you so much for being here and saying hello. I really appreciate it. So for this, what I've done is I've taken everything apart, including the hardware, the screws, everything. And I've cleaned this really well. I've also cleaned the mirror, and we're going to go ahead and get started on this finish. So what I want to show you, here's an example, although not the exact colors that we're going to be using, but this is an example of the finish that we're going to give this mirror. I thought about adding IOD molds to it, but not everything needs to be not everything needs all the things. And so these are pretty simple and they're pretty small. I think they are like about an 8x10 size. And so I thought, let's just let the gold foil transfer do the take kind of center stage, and we'll do a metallic crackle finish on this. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to apply my metallic finish to the entire piece. And this is the Posh Chalk pigments in Byzantine gold. And they're not exactly the gold that I have in the foil transfer, but I really feel like it's going to work. So I'm going to just put a few pigments in, and then to activate this and make this a metallic paint, I'm going to add their Posh Chalk's pigment infuser. And so I had that out. So I pour mine in this little condiment container because it just is easier. And so to activate this, I'm going to add some pigment infuser, and then I'm just going to stir this up really well. You are not too late, Jan. Hi, and thank you for being here, and thank you for saying hello. I really appreciate it. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, and I really just appreciate you being here. If this is a little too thick, I always start with a little bit, and then I can add more pigment infuser if I need to. It is just the shiniest, smoothest, really pretty gold. And I have a link in the description to this product. And so I'm just going to stir this up really well and get that color back. And I keep my little stir stick inside of this. When I mix this pigment up, what I like to do is use these little airtight containers. They're just little, I don't know, they're like little deli containers. It's like a 3-ounce deli container is what it says. And that way I can use it for another project because it'll stay for a few days. And Jade, thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate your watching. And you prefer YouTube, and that's absolutely fine. I just appreciate both. So I'm going to put some on my brush, and I'm going to give a coat of this. Now, what I do enjoy especially about this pigment, I think there are so many metallics out there, and they all, you know that I love the Wise Owl pigment as well. But this one is really nice because it dries really quickly. It also has very good coverage. And I've got a little something, I think, from when I was sanding or wiping back there. So I'm just going to give this a coat of paint, and it will likely be just about dry by the time we get to the next step. So this color is Byzantine gold. There are a lot of, I think, kind of like mixed golds are kind of nice, or mixed metallics are kind of nice. So even though it's not exactly the same color, it's still going to look really nice with the gold foil transfer. And I decided to go in a little bit of I'm getting ready for fall and in the store, and I'm working on some other projects. And so I thought, I'm always thinking about, what's going to be in there, how's it going to look, how's everything going to, kind of work together. And so I'm going to do this in a green finish in that beautiful dried thyme there. And I also thought a crackle finish would work on this because it is a little older. It's not in perfect condition. I would say it was primitive in style. When, as in its original form, it was primitive in style. So I don't have to be super careful with this, but it's just a really pretty sheen. And so that's what we're going to do. So are you a gold or a copper, or what's your favorite metallic to work with? Or do you even like metallics? I don't know. Not everybody does. I love them in fairly small doses. I do love a good antique gold mirror for sure. It can be all the gold for that. But for something like this, it could be a little too much. So I thought about adding molds to this, but I thought, let's do something a little more understated. And I've been working with so many molds lately. So let me know, what is your favorite metallic finish, if you have one? Gold, silver, copper, something else. I would say copper and gold are definitely my favorites. I love copper, but I wanted these to be something, I think people are more used to a gold. And so I thought, and I've already got some copper things going into the store. So I thought, let's just do this in gold. And then it doesn't say fall as much. So I'm just using my brush to go over this. I really do love this. So when I touch this, this is really already dry and ready for me to use. So I do appreciate that very, very much. All right, so I'm just going to make sure that I have my edges, and then we'll just do another quick coat. So this is one that I can do this whole frame, and I don't even have to get my blow dryer out for this particular part of the process. So it just dries. I think it's the pigment infuser. So you can see I'm touching it, and it's not even, sticking to my fingers or anything like that. So the pigment infuser also works as a decoupage medium and as a sealer. And I do like products that work for many things. Not everything does, but when you can get multiple uses out of something, multiple purposes out of something, I think that's really helpful. All right, so I'm going to come in here. I don't even mind that a little bit of the black may show through, but I am going to go ahead and give this another coat. So I'm going to get this little section. So you can see that's pretty good coverage right there in just one coat. I had just washed this brush and tried to dry it as best as I can. So that's why it's looking all kinds of wonky, because it has a little bit of moisture still in it. Okay, and I will do the sides and all of that. Maybe I'll just do that now. I'll do the back separately. We won't do that part tonight, but I'll give it the same finish. And then I'm also going to, we're watching our grand dog this week. My son and his wife are in Alaska for a wedding. And so we are taking care of the grand dog, Harper. And my husband just left. And so she loves him. He's her favorite person in the whole wide world. So she may be a little needy. I hope that this goes well, but we'll see what happens. All right. So I'm going to just brush this on. And we're almost there. Look at this side. This is helpful because it's got that, as I'm turning it around, I can see any spots that I may have missed. So I want to get these edges. And like I said, I'll do the back. I like to finish the backs of my projects as well. I don't like to leave them just sitting. So let's give this another coat on the front. It's really dry. I love the even how, you know, some of that black is showing through, and I think that's pretty. We won't see as much of that when we're done, but I do love that. Okay, let's do this part. Oh, like liquid gold. Yeah, it does look like liquid gold. That's a really good comparison, Jade. I think so as well. That's a great comparison. It's just really, really pretty. So I really like this. I used copper on the trays that I shared with you the other day. And so I'm just going to come in here, and I want to keep some of that antiqued appearance, but I also want this to, I want that gold to really be able to pop more. So I'm going to just do a little light coat. I'll also show you how this works on metal. All right. So this is the little metal paper holder. And so I could prime, but I don't need to. I'll just do a couple of coats on this, but it also works on the metal, and I did not need to prime. And I think it's just because of the adhesion of the pigment infuser. That is my best guess. And so anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to paint this whole thing out also in the gold. I may leave a little bit more of the black on this. We'll see. But I'm going to paint this out. So you can see that even on the metal, that it will work with that. So blue, green, copper patina. Yes, we did that. When did we do that, guys? We did a patina on, what did we do that patina on? Oh, on the sap bucket, we did that. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. Jade, if you haven't seen it, there's a video that I think it's vintage sap buckets 3 ways or something like that. There's a video on there. It's not a live, but it's a video, and it has we did a green, blue, it's mostly green, but a copper patina on that. And I love that finish too. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this aside. I'll do this a little bit later. And so I want to make sure, I am going to go ahead and just make sure that this is completely dry since I did 2 coats. It's already dry on the sides completely. So I just want to make sure that we're dry everywhere. Yeah, it is, Shannon. It's a really, really nice gold. This color happens to be Byzantine, but there are several other colors to choose from. And I really do love the copper. That's what I used on that little set of round nesting trays that I shared the other day, and really, really loved that. Okay, so the next step in this is I'm going to be using Posh Talks crackling gel. So they came out earlier this year with several crackle products, and I am really enjoying this one. This is often step one if you're working with their crackling enamel or their crackling paste. But what I love is that this crackling gel can work just as it is. And like most crackling mediums, this, I'm pouring some off on a little area over here, and I'll just pick it up. Like most crackling mediums, this is one where, depending on how thickly you lay it, and I don't want to overwork it, depending on how thick you apply it, will determine really the size of your cracking. So I am, I'm hoping for some finer lines, but I'm going to have some thicker ones as well. Now I'm just running it, trying not to touch where I went over, and I'm just going to do this. It goes a long way. And then when this is dry, it works like a crackle medium. But I do like that the crackling gel alone is a crackling medium. So it doesn't have to be a two-step unless you're using this with the crackling enamel or the crackling paste. So I'm going to pick this up and we'll do these sides here first. And I'm just running some of the crackle down the sides. I'll get a little bit more. So it doesn't take a lot at all, which I also appreciate. Dries pretty quickly, and I can dry this with my heat tool as well, and it doesn't affect the crackling. Some of the crackle mediums, if you dry them with the heat, they really work best if you allow them to dry on their own. This doesn't seem to have any resistance to heat. So I saw that I got that on there, but I know I'm going to have a fingerprint there like I did up there. So I'm just going to do these insides. Then we'll dry that up and we'll go to the next step. So again, I think I'm going to get some finer cracks because I am just doing just a very thin layer. So if I, was really heavy in my application, and if I am anywhere, then I am going to get larger cracks. But let's see if I'm going to get those finer cracks that I'm hoping for. Okay, so I'm going to dry this up and we'll go on to that next step. So the Byzantine gold is the only one that I've had by them, and the copper. And I'm waiting for the pale gold to come in stock because I think that would be a really pretty one. But this is great, like, for ornaments or anything like that. And I do think it has like a really nice and antique gold effect. So I really do like that. And you can see just how incredibly shiny that is. Oh, good, Jade. I'm glad you saw that. So that was that blue-green copper patina. I do love that. And you, depending on which glaze you use more of, whether it's the patina or the verdigris glaze, you can get more blue or more green. It really just depends on your preference. Can we just pause for a moment and say how grateful we are for the invention of silicone mats? I swear, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really great. So I'm going to see how I am. I want this to be completely dry, and I am making it a little sticky with the heat. But let's just go. This is an important part. You do want the crackle medium to be dry before you do the next step. Okay, so we have that. I think, stenciling with this is a beautiful idea too. All right, I think we're going to be good to go. So now what I'm going, I just need to wipe up my my lid because I don't want it to, I'm famous for getting my containers, the lids to stick on these. So yes, the mats are a must. I can't believe I went so long without them. So this is a chalk synthesis paint. This is by Wiseall Paint, and the color is Dried Thyme. And so I want to get a big enough brush to, and again, I had just washed these before. I want to get a big enough brush so that I don't have to make too many passes, because I don't want to overwork the paint as I go over this. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to come here. It's already going to start to crackle. And if I go over it too much, then I'm going to mess with my crackle, right? We've all done that. I do want it to have peeking through, but I want to. So it's resisting a little bit in some places, which is natural, right, to do. I even like it with this gold, just around the edges, but I am going to go ahead and, I don't know, maybe, hmm, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just coming around these edges. I do like that little bit of gold, the frame standing out, but let's just do this. And I'm just using the slightest bit of paint. I strained this paint into a little jar because I had very little left. And when too much air gets in there, it can get a little chunky. So you can see the crackling happening already. And I've got one little chunky part there that I'm going to work on. But I'm going to pick this up and do this in a way that you can see. So I want to pick up that because that's just chunky, I guess. And so I'm just using my brush like this. And even though these are also going to look very old, I decided that they should look old in a good way, right? There are things that look old in a not so good way, and things that um, look good in, we age them because it's what they need and it just looks better. So you can see that where the resist is. So I've got more that's worn away here in some areas than others. And I am loving the crackle that's happening. And so I got a little bit, the corners are always a little tougher. So I'm just going to take the tip of my brush and bring it along these edges like this, just like that. And then are we okay? Yes, Jan, I'm glad that you like it too. I think it's really pretty. There are some golds that are just a little too strong, but I think this one's really beautiful. And I also love that a little bit of that black is showing through. I think that's beautiful for this piece. So it's going to have a really just an old worn look, which is one of my favorites. All right, so we're going to do the inside, and then we'll do the outsides of the frames, or I mean the trim here, this interior molding. So yeah, I'm glad that I went ahead and went over that. I really loved the look of the gold with just the without painting it, but I really like that it's kind of showing through here. Got a little bit of I'm going to wipe that back. Now, if you were to use this and you felt that you had just more cracking than you wanted, you can always go over with your paint. So you could fill in an area. Like if I thought this was just too worn down here, I could always go over this with my brush and do it that way. Just kind of fill in if you needed to. But I like that it's not evenly worn. I think that's more authentic looking. Okay, we're going to do this side. Now, you could do the same process with a larger mirror. I have a few downstairs that I'm wanting to redo. And I think for some of them, this would be a great kind of look for them. And I'll hold it up so you can see a little bit better in just a second. Let me make sure I got everywhere that I wanted to go. I've got a little bit over here. All right, now let's do the sides. And I just think, let me hold this up for you. So I just think that the cracking is really, really nice. I have a little bit bigger, I'm going to see. So you can see I've got a little bit bigger up here because the corners are a little bit, I went heavier. You know, when I'm bringing my brush over, the paint is pooling up here. So you can see that those cracks are bigger, whereas along here, it gets a little finer. And so I love that. So after the Crackle Jan, thank you. After the Crackle Jan, I'm adding, this is Dried Time Chalk Synthesis Paint. This is by Wise Owl. It's one of my favorite greens. And it's a chalk synthesis paint. So I would not have to seal the Byzantine gold. And I really don't have to seal anything because it's going to be something on a wall, but I will seal it because it'll be hanging on a wall. And I don't want any of the paint to rub off on a painted wall or anything like that. So I will seal this, but I will use a gloss or a semi-gloss sealer so as not to interfere with the metallic of this. Sometimes when we apply a matte sealer, it mattifies the metallic. And so that's always something to pay attention to when you're doing this. I want to get a little bit more in here. I'm just going to run a little bit there. And so this is nice as I'm going through, and I keep getting a thumbprint in there, but we've got one more little side to do. And then we'll dry this up, and then we'll do the mirror part. Okay. But you saw that it works on metal and it works like this. So I definitely love the variation in the cracking. And so this is what I mean. I've got a little area here that looks more like a brush stroke. And so instead, I can just take my paint and fill that in just a little bit. So you can paint over it if there's an area you're not happy with, or you can just leave it as is. And then there's a little piece that's just a little bit built up. So that is our finish so far. I'm going to dry this up and then I'll hold it up for you to see a little bit more. And then we will go to the mirror part of it. The mirror part of it, I'm super excited about. I'm so glad you're enjoying this. Do you guys think it needed molds? I was so close. I got out my trimmings molds and I was so close to adding molds in here, but I think this is just really pretty. Sometimes less is more and sometimes more is better. I don't know. It's just your preference and what you like. Lots of things are made so much better with just a little mold or something like that. The chalk synthesis paint dries very quickly as well. And then I'm going to seal this. I think I'll wait to seal it actually until I have the back completed. Yes, Jan, I put the link. So the Posh Chalk crackling gel is what I used. Also, the pigment infuser is what you need to activate the pigments. And so I put the link to that in the description. Okay, so this is dry. And so I'm going to set this here. And let me wipe off my hands before I touch my mirror, and I'll see if you have any questions while we're going along. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's do the mirror. to prepare the mirror, what I did was I cleaned it with regular glass cleaner, but then I also wiped it down with rubbing alcohol. And I decided to use these beautiful gold foil transfers. This happens to be one of the new ones from the new release. And this is the etiquettes. So it has all of these different designs in here. And so I chose something that was more, I wanted something like with the laurel, something a little interesting. And so I'm going to lay this. Ooh, I've got a little something right here. Let me get a little more alcohol. I got a little something right here. So I'm going to wipe this down with a little bit of alcohol and get that as clean as I can. I don't know if this is just like a little bit of crazing from the old mirror or what it is, but I want to make sure that my mirror is clean and that we don't have anything to worry about. All right, so I'm going to let that sit for a second. So this gold foil transfer, this is actually my first time using this transfer. And I also know that I have a little bit of a lip, so I want to be a little careful. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down just like this. And then I'm going to use the included transfer stick to apply this. So I'm going to, it works a little bit differently. You'll see the gold release a little bit. And I like that the transfer stick is plastic. So if you're working on a mirror, I wouldn't use anything, you know, sharp that would scratch up your mirror. And right now I'm just using the tip of this. So let me see if I'm getting any release at all. I am. So I'm very excited about that. All right, so let me see if I can get a little bit more by going here. These are very, very delicate lines. And so it's a little trickier. So I definitely am going to tell you that what I'm experiencing is that I feel it's probably because it's gold foil. So usually I am not afraid to put any pressure on a transfer at all. And I don't know if it's because it's gold foil or what it is, but I am feeling like I need to be a little, okay, now I can see where that didn't transfer. So now I get it. So it's going to release up from the paper a little bit. Let's see if we can go here and get something. So I'm just using this little tip of my transfer stick. Thank you so much, Jade, for sharing that with her. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Because I've got my head in this and we're going to figure out how we do this. So it does take, excuse me, it does take a little more, I guess the lines are just a little more intricate. So, and the foil on the back of this is also something. I've seen that people have used the negatives of this. So when this is done, they've actually applied the negative part of the transfer to another project. So let's see if I'm making any progress here. I guess the best thing I can do on this is to make sure that I'm getting one area transferred before I move on to the next. So let's lift up and see how we are doing. We are getting some transfer, you guys. So I'm going to hold this up just like I do on another transfer. Get a little air under that and see if that doesn't help. Whoops. And if it's a little distressed, I feel like that's okay too, because, you know, this is an old mirror. Okay, I feel like I'm becoming less intimidated by it. And it's actually releasing pretty easy, much easier than I thought it was. So I hope you can see. Okay. I think this is going to be so pretty with that finish. We'll see what you think. And then I'll share the pictures tomorrow. I have these really pretty battery operated tapers. And so I'm going to put those in them. And I think that'll be really pretty on the wall. They would look pretty in like a gallery wall composition or something like that. So you can see, you can't see really well right now, but I'm going to hold it up for you so that you can see. I definitely would do this on another mirror. I think if you've ever found a mirror that it's got a beautiful frame or something, but maybe there's just a little bit of, you know, damage to the reflective part of the mirror, instead of replacing the mirror, you could add something like this and it would just look beautiful. So let's see how I'm doing. I'm doing great. Okay. Yay. All right. So it's taking a little bit of time. These are so pretty. I remember years ago, I did a finicky fox. I put a finicky fox transfer on a dresser. And I really thought, oh my gosh, that really needs to be metallic. And I remember taking a brush and painting out that whole transfer on my dresser in gold paint. And so when they came out with gold transfers, I was like, oh my goodness, you know, so yay, that's amazing. So I was really excited to use them. All right, we're almost there. Oh, this is so pretty. Now, I'm not going to seal this because, again, it's going to be a wall piece. And so I don't feel the need to do that. Okay, and it's releasing. We're almost there, you guys. We're almost there. Oh my goodness. That is so pretty. So you can see, you've got my lights in there. Sorry, guys, but can you see that? Look how pretty that is. Oh my goodness. So the idea is that now it's going to go into this frame, just like I'm going to see if I can get this. So you can see, I'm so sorry about the lights. Let me see if I can turn that around. Oh, now you can't see it. Okay. So I'm hoping that you can see this, and I'll make sure to get a good picture tomorrow. But I love that. And I think it's, and then once this is in place too, in the gold, I think that's going to be really pretty. And now I think they are, I think they've got a new life. So I've got another one to do, and I need to do the back of these, but boy, do I love that. I'll clean up a little bit more around the edges, but I just think that is so pretty. And so again, I'll put this here just to give you an idea. Again, we went from this, right? We went from this to this. And I think it's just a great look for this. So anyway, yep. So if you have any questions, thank you so much, Jade. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that. So let me pull up my, I'm going to just show you that. And so I am going to, yes, flameless candles are awesome, especially for your walls. I think that's really, really nice, Jade. I love that too. And I love the ones that have a little remote. So I think that's really fun too. So anyway, guys, that's it. So I hope that this inspires you to do something like this on an old frame that you may have, or I don't know, mirrors, just something. But if you have any questions about the project or the products, let me know. I so appreciate you joining me today. This was so fun. And I will share the finished project in a picture and a post on YouTube in the community feature, and a post on Facebook for the Facebook. Yeah, a post. Hello. So anyway, thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate that. And so listen, wherever you are, I hope you're well. Please know how much I appreciate you and love creating with all of you. And I will see you very soon. And happy creating, everybody. All right, take care. I'll see you soon.